It's approximately 12:05 Central African time, and welcome to the second installment of Backpage, the ultimate leader in sport. Buckle up and hold on tight. It's a roller coaster ride through to the top of the hour, and we anticipate that you will participate by texting and WhatsApping right on this particular program. So let us get interactive right on this station, and then we'll definitely have you buckle on board and then interact with our illustrious panel. All right, if you want to watch us live, please join us via YouTube. All right, we've been having a little bit of trouble with our Facebook live feed link due to poor quality. All right, so we're trying out YouTube now. So log on to YouTube.
Malevozi. Just engage at Malevozi Aquera.
Yeah, okay. All right, so look for Lorenzo Entertainment TV, subscribe, and then watch us live. Post your comment in the comment section, and then we'll be able to get to you in no time. All right, I'm at levels, as Chair says. We move a level up in our interaction. Let's talk about BuildCon. 12 players plus the coach are in limbo due to the fact that the immigration department pounced. Their documentation is not up to date. So due to lack of proper documentation, BuildCon are in limbo. 12 players face deportation, or is it imprisonment? Gentlemen, let's pick it up from there. Let me start with Jerry, since we ended on Chair in the previous hour. Not something pretty much good. BuildCon themselves are in the doldrums of the Super Division, right? Probably in the bottom half of the table, fighting relegation. With this, one wonders if they'll survive. Jerry.
Yes, things are in turmoil at the dollar-based club there. Like you said, the immigration department passed on 12 players plus the coach, Zorit. Because their documentation, the permits and so on, some of them are expired. They're not in order. So it even threatens the game that they're supposed to play. Is it today? Against Nakambala Leopards without players. How are they going to do it? It's like the story of BuildCon is well tabulated, whereby they bought out AM Trading, started playing in the Premier League, and brought in a lot of foreign players at high cost in some instances, and they did well. I think they even finished in the top four, were able to play in the Confederations Cup, but they got knocked out early on. Changes of coaches and so on, some wrangles with some players, contracts. So there they are now. I hope this gets sorted out quickly enough, because it's going to have a toll on their performances. Their positioning in the league isn't all that good. So this is the last thing they need right now. You wonder why those who are in charge of administration at the club don't have systems in place which are going to remind them to renew the permits of their players and so on, rather than letting them expire at the same time and everything like that. It's poor administration on the part of the club. But hopefully they're going to sort everything out, get some relief, and manage to compete in the remaining games. But it's sad reading for BuildCon.
Okay. All right, quickly, Mapalo Zanaco playing FC Pyramids FC at Estadio Los Heros. It was 3-0 reverse in favor of the Egyptians. All right, one would probably want to argue to say Zanaco have failed to climb the pyramids. How do you lose 3-0 at home in your first leg, with the second leg on the cards away in Egypt? Mapalo.
In front of so many fans.
Yeah,
because it's free entry.
Free entry, eh?
Wow.
Stadium was packed.
I can't say so many, but
more than in the last game.
well,
Absolutely.
you know, so in as much as we can criticize Zanaco, sometimes you just have to give credit where it's due. Pyramids were absolutely fantastic. They've been absolutely fantastic throughout the tournament. So sometimes, you know, a team is just better tactically, technically, and that was proven on the pitch. You know, Zanaco were coming into that game unbeaten from the time the gaffer Chris Kaunda took charge, and it was really disappointing for us Zambians, because we had high hopes of them. They are the only remaining teams representing Zambia on the continent, but we just hope they can go to Egypt and, you know, redeem themselves at least
Against the
yes,
odds.
I'll get some out of get
Winning
a good
4-0
result. Yeah,
in Egypt.
Mm.
Goodness me.
Get well.
Or 3-0 to take it to extra
Well,
time and
extra
penalties.
time.
It's not as intimidating because pyramids don't have a following as large or as huge as Al Ali or
Yet
Zamalek.
they deliver on the pitch.
Yeah, they're absolutely
And
fantastic.
that is what matters.
But if
They're
they
a
could
good
come
team,
to
but-
Osaka and do Zanaco on their home pitch,
Well, I just hope they can, get a result just to show some respect because 3-0 at home was absolutely it was bad.
So they're thrashing.
Yeah, it was embarrassing, but
Yeah.
I just hope they can go there and represent the
Redeem
country
some
well.
pride.
Yes.
Redeem some pride.
Yes.
Now, Chair, this result spells doom and gloom for Zambian clubs. I think our performance at continental level, from a Zambian football club's perspective, has been on a downward spiral. At the moment, we have 2 slots in the CAF Champions League and 2 slots in the CAF Confederations Cup. Now, this downward spiral in performance might have a knock-on effect on places. CAF may just as well strip us a place at Champions League level and at CAF Confederations Cup level. It may not necessarily be next season, but disaster is looming, Chair.
Indeed, I think that's a catchword. Disaster is looming because for now we are safe, we're comfortable. We still maintain the 4 slots, 2 to each, like you've indicated. But it's important for us to keep on playing well so that we can maintain these places. The slots are given based on how far you've gone into the continental football, Champions League as well as Confed Cup. So we saw, for argument's sake, in Champions League, Zesco United were handed out together with Green Eagles. Although Zesco United, they, pushed a little further, but it wasn't good enough. Now coming into Confed football, again we had 2 teams, Zanaco and what was the other team? What was the other team that was in
Green Eagles?
Green Eagles. Yeah.
Let's go, yeah.
So even
Zanaco.
they could not play, further. But we're happy for Zanaco. They're just, at the age that they can get into the semi-finals of the.
So we had Nkana in CAF Confederations Cup as well.
Yeah,
right?
Nkana, then Green Eagles and Zesco United went into the
CAF
Champions League.
Yeah.
So that tells us a lot that we need to up our game for us to continue maintaining the 2 slots because otherwise they could be grabbed from us. But for now we're safe. But for how long? What is important is keep on playing well. You remember Zesco United in 2016, they went as far as the semi-finals, which was good enough. So we hope even this time around Zanaco should be able to get into the semi-finals. But let's be frank about it. It's a tall order because you get beat for 3-0 at home. How do you expect to be able to reverse the scores away in Egypt? There is terrifying, it's intimidating. The capacity in terms of people filling the stadium will be much higher compared to what we had here. Because even here, when we said it will be free, the stadium was literally, empty. So, our friends, they'll be paying, they'll be able to get into the stadium and it will be, intimidating. Zanaco needs to score 4 goals. Again, that's a toward unanswered goals. So, it's a tall order for us. But what is important, what is good is they've run the race. I know football, anything is possible in football. They can be able to score 4 goals. It's possible. Yeah. We only hope and pray that Zanaco goes all that way and be able to score 4 goals and turn the tables. But it's been a good race for Zanaco. I must admit. Look at it. They had they played Motema Pembe. They drew away. They played before SIA they played at home again. Yeah, they drew at home. Yeah, RS Bekan they drew. Then they played SA. They were able to win away, and they were able to win at home.
They drew. Then they won here.
Yeah, so all those gives you a good picture that Zanaco was able to play well, and just when Motema Pembe came here, Zanaco was able to win. So it's been a good run thus far. We only hope that even in Cairo, they can cause an upset.
I think the 4th team that represented us was Buildcon, but they were knocked out. The transitional league.
No, they were knocked out in the first round. Yes.
Oh, it was Buildcon, eh?
The
Not
first
Ghana.
game that we were involved in. The same team we had about to talk about. Did we talk about? Yeah.
I see. All right, let me get to read a few comments coming through now. Sylvester Chola says, Lorenzo and panelists, how are you? Doing a good job. Thank you, Sylvester.
Hello.
Ben Muma says, I'm still following you live. Shipolo Polo, I have hope they will qualify come next week, Tuesday. Cameroon must fall. Francis Movita. All right. Is this Movita Deep Six? He says, hey, Lorenzo, how sweet to link up and see you live on YouTube. Enjoying the program. Francis Movita, thank you very much for catching us live. All right. Now, let's talk about the FARS MTN Super Division. Our featured game this weekend is Nkana versus Kawa Warriors at Nkana
Did you
Stadium.
speak about the build connection?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah,
we
where were
did. Yes, we did. All right, so let's start with you, Jerry. Nkana, when Manfred Chavinga took charge of this team, seemed to have discovered their Midas touch, playing beautiful football, chalking impressive results. But for some reason, they've hit a snag. They somewhat, had to sail through stormy seas the last few weeks. They're not really coming up as impressive. Talk of Nkana, west of Zesco United, who drew 0-0, right?
With
In
Lumwana.
midweek with Lumwana Radiant. But my focus is on Nkana because they're playing Kawe Warriors. Jerry. And then Mapalo could probably talk about Zesco as well in our mix of things. Now it seems unlikely that Zesco might just defend their title because we're in the final 10-game running of the 2019-2020 soccer season in Zambia. Jerry.
Yeah, like you said, Zesco have lost their way. Initially, when the season started, they were, I think, 7 games winning run or something. But now it's like they've been dropping points, drawing, losing here and there. I think someone was telling me in the last, is it 10 or 11 games, they've only won twice or something like that. So not good enough for a club which wants to retain the title. And Nkana as well, like you said, when Chavinga took over from Beston Chambeshi, ruled off some good results. I think they even topped the table.
Will be briefly.
Yeah, then they slumped and have been on a rocky patch right now. So they're playing against Warriors, and I think in the reverse fixture, Warriors must have won it, I think. So Nkana will be up for it. They want to get their revenge. But it won't be that easy because Kawa Warriors also are playing quite well. Are rising to the fore in a game like this. So it's the match of the weekend, and all roads will lead to Nkana Stadium.
All right, live on Super Sport. I'm meant to believe.
Wow.
All right, Mapalo, Zesco United are definitely hitting the doldrums as well in terms of form. They've hit a very bad patch the last few weeks. I don't think they've chalked up an impressive 2-3 games in a row, as in maximum points. They've been so pathetic, to say the least.
Wow. Wow. I couldn't put it any better than that because of the standards they have set since maybe the last decade or so. It's difficult. Okay, it's not difficult to understand because any person would have seen this coming. We talked about this last week. It's the recruitment. I mean, if you lose a player like Anthony Akumu, you have to replace. We talked about this. We stressed on this point last week. It's the recruitment, and games like, with all due respect to Lumwana Radiants, but games like this is where Zesco would actually run riot. It's difficult for them at the moment because it looks like they might have a decision to make at the end of the season, whether to stick with Chicken George or actually look to replace him. We'll see how they do. Struggling to qualify in the top 4 at the moment, and all the best to them, and we hope their results can improve and come into Kawe and Nkana, two of the most supported clubs in Zambia. My dad, Pastor Sam, is always stressing of how these games were built up to in the 90s and 80s. Would have buses starting to come in from Friday, and it's actually a fun statistic is ever since Nkana has never lost to Kawa Warriors ever since Chipolopolo were crowned African champions. It's interesting. Yes, it's interesting. I think they'll feel this is their time because Nkana has only won of their last 7 matches.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 7 matches, Kawa Warriors has a better record because they've picked up 3 wins and 2 draws. They're just 2 points and 2 points behind, and they'll feel this is the time to break that duck. And it'll be an interesting game. We'll follow it closely.
All right, follow closely. Definitely, it will be when those two teams actually get to face off in the FAS MTN Super Division. All right, now we move on to to other sports disciplines, right, on the program. But in case you want us to put you through at a push of a button, please call us now on 0960-200-490 before we talk about the English Premier League. We have interesting matchups. And let's Chair suggest we discuss one little more item on the local front before.
Yeah, we can speak about the same game that Maparo spoke about, Kawares versus Nkana. Nowadays Chilata is not a fiery stadium where every team is intimidated. In other times, when you get to Nkana, you literally, but nowadays, even teams like Mighty and Furia Wanderers can travel to Chilata and be able to pick up maximum points. Yeah.
Because
when you look at Nkana, they don't have now noticeable goal scorer.
Yeah.
Sate Kampamba that is not living up to the party. Kelvin Nimobanga Kampamba is also.
What about
Idris Mbombo as well is more into arguing with the referee as opposed to playing football. So others, that takes off his his luster, his shine in terms of getting goals. He's able to argue with the ref, and most times he's seen on television telling the referee, "Yanganani Viara," that kind of thing, which is not good.
He should be sanctioned for that.
Yeah,
because he keeps on doing the same thing over and
over, and
appealing for video assistant referee.
When we don't have it,
because
he should take a yellow card. And if he repeats it another yellow, then he's off.
Then that's it.
They also need to look into the discipline of some of their players.
Sure. Now, when you look at Beston Chambeshi when he was at Nkana, people said he had run his race, and they thought, Manfred Chavinga was a man that could be able to take Nkana to high heights. And what was helping Manfred Chavinga was the fact that as Beston Chambeshi was out with the national team under 2023, Chavinga was a guy that was in charge and he was winning games. And Exco at Nkana thought he's the right man. Given the job, things are not working out. So he's failing to deliver. So people now are saying, Katumtamfia we win 9. So that we bring in another coach, But the president Kabila has come out to the open to say in full support of Manfred Chavinga and says he's the right one that would want to think that he could be able to stay Ankara to high heights. Yeah, so that's it. Let's wait and see what will be able to come out with the 12-time, champions. But it's a team with very popular. It's a team with a sound base.
Passionate fans.
Yeah, with passionate fans.
Some of them even carry weapons to the stadium. Remember that episode?
But
catapults and so on. Oh.
Yeah, I remember that picture.
Yeah,
very sad.
But they're playing a Cabo Warriors who have Jimmy Belemu.
Njovu. Beleki.
He's called Beleki. His nickname is Beleki. Jimmy Njovu. Look at the goal that he scored last week when they won 2-0. He's a guy that has carried the Cabo Warriors. He's getting goals for them, which is very good. And there's also Chaibera. You also have in defense Dominic Chanda, who I'm sure by now is knocking on the doors of the Zambia national team in terms of. We have also Zakaria Chilongoshi, who is also a backline playing well. So that's the team that Levi Chabala has, Chabi Chabala. And as we speak, they're getting into Nkana. So what a game!
I see. All right. Let me get to run through fixtures in the English Premier League now. We do have Liverpool playing Bournemouth at Anfield at 14:30. The Norwich City will be away to Sheffield United at Bramall Lane at 17 hours. At the Molineux, Wolverhampton Wanderers will be at home to Brighton and Hove Albion. The Newcastle United travel to play Southampton at the St. Mary's. Then Arsenal, the Gunners, play West Ham United at the Emirates. Crystal Palace play Watford at 17. Then Burnley will be playing Tottenham at 19:30 Central African Time. Sunday sees Chelsea take on Everton at 16. And then Manchester City will be away to Manchester United at Old Trafford in this Manchurian derby.
That's a game of the week.
Absolute game of the week.
Yeah.
All right, but before I move on to Jerry, Liverpool haven't really played that much well. they've been losing. They haven't between Everton, Atletico, all right, and Chelsea. Liverpool have failed to find the back of the net.
Yeah,
Shocking,
three
if you may
times.
ask me.
Three times. You're talking of 270 minutes
Mm.
that they've played.
Mhm.
They haven't, scored. It's all began like we've indicated with Atletico Madrid,
Uh-huh.
beaten 1-0.
Uh-huh.
Then Watford came calling. Watford was able to win 3
Oh
goals
yeah,
to
it
nil.
won for 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thereafter is the latest, setback that they suffered in the FA Cup. But all things being equal, I think Liverpool has been a good team. They played well. The tiredness should be now creeping into the team, because when you look at their players, they're the same players week in, week out that have been playing for Liverpool and that have been getting it for Liverpool. There comes a time that you can be able to hit a great patch, and this is what we are seeing with Liverpool. My only hope, I hope, is only a small dent, that they should be able to recover, because Atletico Madrid is coming at Anfield to be able to play in the Champions League, football. Then even Bournemouth at this moment in time should be able to fancy their chances getting into Anfield. That this team lost, to Watford. They also lost in the FA Cup. We could also be able to, pull a surprise and be able to win. So that tells you a lot about it. But frankly speaking, Liverpool should be able to rebound from this setback and continue. I'm happy that they've done what they should have done in terms of winning the league, because when you talk of the league, it's a foregone conclusion that Liverpool is winning. But they wanted to, achieve what Arsenal achieved in 2003-2004 season, where they went, 38 games without losing a game. And this is what, Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool wanted to do. But unfortunately, they met a resilient Watford. And Watford was able to hammer them 3 goals to 0. So, all things being equal, Liverpool will rebound.
All right, Jerry. Before you come in, let me have Mapalo talk as well, and then Jerry will talk last. Mapalo, what could be wrong at Liverpool? You think the wheels have come up, all right? All right, you've been skating on thin ice, and unfortunately, you went under while skating on thin ice. What could have gone wrong for Liverpool just to capitulate at a point when it's most critical for them to be picking up points and chalking up impressive results week in, week out?
Well, first, the caller who said he will be back for me in the second hour. I'm here, and the Christopher, Christopher in the he sent a text. I'm here now, and here's my explanation. There's been a lot of hype surrounding our losses. The first one being the Wanda Metropolitano. First of all, that's a European tie. It's a one-off. It's a very difficult game. And the biggest mistake you can make when facing Atletico Madrid is conceding early. So that tie is not done. That's just halftime. And then coming to the Watford game, it was a blimp, a really, really bad blimp, which was unexpected. It was shocking, and credit to Watford, they came out to play, and we just didn't. Jurgen Klopp championed a winter break, which sort of seems to have distracted us, because we won 1-0 against Norwich, but we didn't seem at it in that game. We had to call upon the services of Sadio Mane. We looked rusty against West Ham at home. We were almost losing the game, but won 3-2. So the game against Chelsea, you can't really judge Liverpool so much on that, because it wasn't the full first team.
He made 7 changes.
Yes, he made 7 changes to his first team. But credit Chelsea as well. They came out to play. They played as though it was a Champions League final. And I was very impressed with Billy Gilmore. It was absolutely outstanding. Yes, the 18-year-old dominated the midfield, where there were the likes of Fabinho, Lallana. And, you can mostly judge Liverpool if we get knocked out from Europe, and if we don't win today's game against Bournemouth. But if you told me at the beginning of the season that by February we would be 22 points ahead of second place and we would be out of the cups, I would have taken that. Maybe I would have even bitten off your hand, because I wouldn't have believed that. So it's nothing to take away from a fantastic season we've had.
Yeah, but that excuse of saying there were 7 changes into the Chelsea game, I think let's give credit to Chelsea.
I said that.
He's done
I
that.
said that.
Yeah.
I've given credit.
Yeah.
You
Because-
can go and say that.
They were brilliant. They were brilliant.
Because whenever you remember Liverpool, they played a youth team in the previous round of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
It was still Liverpool.
Yeah.
So even this one with 7 changes, it was still Liverpool. So Chelsea,
And we're all
My-
in agreement.
we are in a
my-
very good.
my only point was there's so much hype surrounding our losses, but people have not looked into the circumstances. But
Around
all
the
credit
losses.
must be given to the teams that have beaten us because they did their homework and they played well.
All right, Jerry, what is your opinion on why Liverpool seem capitulating at the most critical hour, in my opinion? You should be wrapping it up now. And for some reason, the FA Cup doesn't seem to fancy Jurgen Klopp. All right? I really don't understand.
Well, yeah, like this blip, like Mapalo has alluded to, it's come right at the wrong time, really.
Yeah,
Because
Mhm.
when we expected to sort of run away with it, take care of the Premier League, and then focus on the cup competitions, we end up suffering a setback like the Watford one. But credit to Watford, they played well. They didn't sit back the way most teams just want to defend and try to hit us on the break. But I think they must have learned from West Ham.
West Ham, yeah.
So they were attacking, they were in our faces throughout, and they took their chances. And they could have scored even more. I think they got
Ismail Assar missed a couple.
So Liverpool didn't turn up. Watford were better on the day. We had a number of players who were just not up to it. Talk about Lovren, I think he had enough goals. Talk about Fabinho. It's like he's still trying to find his rhythm after that injury layoff. Our front three also were just not up to it.
And missing Henderson in midfield.
You know, Jordan Henderson gets a lot of stick. People say he's not good enough to be in the Liverpool team.
Yeah.
He doesn't do enough. But actually, he rallies the boys.
Yeah.
So we're missing that captain's influence, the leadership. It was a bad day in the end. We lost, but it doesn't change anything. I still expect Liverpool to win the league, maybe even top 100 points. It's just a temporary setback. A lot of fans were happy of the rival teams. People like Mr. Mwanza here. Well, he was on cloud 9. Arsenal fans were happy that their record won't get broken. Man U fans also were coming out of the woodwork and just saying, yes, Liverpool have lost. So there it is. Our unbeaten run is gone, but we're ready to tackle the last few games. 10 games to go. If we can get 4 wins, we'll be champions. So focus is on today's game. Bournemouth. Alisson is out with a hip injury, and he's going to miss the Atletico game as well. But the blunder in midweek notwithstanding, Adrian has proven himself, I think, in those games when Alisson wasn't playing. Adrian did very well, and we expect him to do more of the same. So we shouldn't think so much of the Atletico game on Wednesday, but take care of business today, get the confidence, and then we'll think of Diego Simeone and his boys. But setback, which we hope is temporary, at the wrong time, really. And losing to Watford, who were in the bottom 3 before the match kicked off. Now we're facing Bournemouth, another team which is sort of struggling, and they'll try and play the way the other teams played against us. But I'm expectant of us bouncing back. Yeah.
All right. Still on you before Chair comes on. The featured game for the weekend is the Manchurian Derby between Manchester United and Manchester City. All right. For some reason, Manchester United seem to give this false hope that they've actually rediscovered their Midas touch after beating, easy pickings Derby County 3-0 in midweek. All right. Should we write anything out of that Derby win in midweek for us to think that this United side could just as well see off Manchester City with relative ease at Old Trafford?
No, that was just Derby. Come on. And then you beat a Belgian club and you're on cloud 9. You need to be more consistent. Beat the real teams. Like Roy Keane said not so long ago, they haven't beaten anyone. They were beating teams like Bruges and
they haven't beaten anyone.
They've beaten Derby. No, they haven't beaten anyone. So, but credit to them. They've tried to be a bit more consistent, I think. They're undefeated in I don't know how many games. some
Nine
draws in there as
games.
well.
9 games.
But they
9
were
games.
lucky against Everton, eh?
Yeah,
VAR,
very,
you go
very
as
lucky.
Liverpool, but VAR
That
always
VAR
seems to
call, oh my
ruin
God.
you.
No, that argument has been put to bed.
Nah,
Remember,
nah,
we
nah,
discussed about it in our WhatsApp group that actually it was not the player. It was.
But I watched it again. There was no offside in the build-up.
Yeah.
It was centered
No,
on-
yeah,
the
was
build-up
already
is
going.
the build-up is with the guy. The gentleman was in the offside position. He was sitting there. That's a build-up.
No, but was he interfering
He
with
wasn't
play?
interfering.
No,
If he was interfering with play, then yes.
The word is not interfering, because if it was interfering, that was an own goal. By the way, you remember it passed through the legs
Yeah,
of
Harry Maguire.
Harry
yeah.
Maguire and went in. If it was interference, that would have been given. But it was given, as an because of the build-up.
Before he fell on the ground.
That's it. No, before the goal went in, the ball went in. He
So
was
why are you
already
saying build-up then?
Yeah, that's a build-up towards the goal. Towards
No, but he wasn't involved
He
in
wasn't
play.
involved in the play, and it came off Maguire
And
anyway.
the angle was
That's why
showing.
Ancelotti
Yes,
was upset.
he was gone. David De
The
Gea
hair
was
wasn't
beaten.
even blocked by six seconds.
When you talk of the build-up, it's where the game is. I mean, the ball is starting from towards it going into a goal, and the last man that was there is the same man that was sitting there.
But that's not the build-up, Chair.
Well, what is it?
Because the last touch was off Maguire.
If it was interference, that would have been given. But
They were saying it was interference.
no, it was a build-up.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't the build-up.
The build-up, the guy was in an offside position in the build-up to the goal towards the ball.
But he
going
wasn't
into
part of play.
He
That is
wasn't
not the
part-
essence.
Yeah, but where was he? If he wasn't part of play, where was
Well, he was injured. He was crippled.
He was injured.
Crippled. This is why he
In what
went
position
He
down.
didn't
was
even
he?
touch the ball.
Which position was he? Where was he?
He was
lying on the floor.
But not part
But
of
still,
play.
he wasn't
the
not
best he could have done.
He was not blocking
Yeah.
the keeper's
The
view at
best he
any
could have
point.
done, he could have done, because they were still attacking. He could have gone out.
Things happen so fast.
It was
They had
so
no time
fast,
to
no.
do that. But
No,
anyway,
but they can't go
that
out
of
there.
Manchester United,
Okay.
otherwise they were heading for a defeat.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why Carlo Ancelotti was so upset, gave a piece of his mind to the
Yeah,
officials,
referee.
and now it's been sanctioned, I think.
Yeah.
So Manchester City, it's a different ball game, different from Everton.
Ask
And they're on a high
Lorenzo.
after beating Madrid.
Yeah, ask Lorenzo.
In the
Kevin De
Bernabeu.
Bruyne.
Half time.
So maybe Man U have got their work cut out. But in games like this, they know how to set up. They'll be compact, playing deep, and then trying to get
It suits them more.
goals on the
Counter,
break.
yeah.
So it suits them more, which they can't replicate when they're playing against smaller teams, because the smaller teams also just sit back.
Yeah.
So there it is, Manchester City trying to capitalize on Liverpool's slip, actually. So for them, they want to win more than anything.
I see it. All right, now Che Odion Ighalo, in as much as it was an easy picking match, managed to get himself on the score sheet. If it were down to you, would you give Ighalo a permanent deal at Old Trafford? See, he seems to have actually impressed already. I saw someone in our group saying he's actually outscored Lalana.
It was comparing apples.
and
You know, that's
others,
comparing apples
yeah,
with oranges.
yeah.
Lalana is a midfield.
yeah, and
So,
others have
how
gone
can
to
you
an
compare?
extent to say, inclusive of Firmino, Sadio Mane, and Mo Salah.
No,
Either-
Ighalo is not in the class
No,
of
no,
those
no.
three.
Listen, I'm
He's
coming.
in a different league.
I'm coming. They're saying the three, in comparison to the games against Watford, Chelsea, and Real Madrid. So Ighalo is better than these people in the three games. That's what the others have gone to say.
That's my
But-
hot pick.
The caliber of the teams. I mean, Club Brugge and Derby, and then Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, and
Yeah.
Watford. Come on.
Yeah.
People shouldn't get overexcited.
But like
Over
Jerry is
just 2 or
saying,
3
people shouldn't get overexcited with the Odion Ighalo. I think he still has work to do. Yes, he might have scored, the 2 goals against Derby, and the other one was it in the Champions League, where he was able to score.
You're
Europe.
not in the Champions League. You're not Champions League material.
Europe. Yeah, he scored against Club Brugge. For me, as a fan of Manchester United, I think he needs a bit of time. They should not rush into trying to offer him a contract. Let it run the course, up to June until summer. Then they can be able to make a proper assessment. Because anything to be done now will be done in hasty. And as a result, you may be able to make a bad move, even for him as a player. Because now you slacken and want to think that I'm now on contract, permanent contract. there's nothing that can
The
be
way
done.
social are slacking.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
see. So it's important. Let him be able to let a long duration run his course. Thereafter, they can sit down in summer with him and be able to offer him a contract.
Before we move on to La Liga, Alethea says Bachea sounds to be a power fan because his analysis on Kana was somewhat biased. The last game we played at Ukachtal was a 2-2 draw with Cover Warriors. Today we are winning by 2-0. All right, that's Alethea there.
Alethea, insofar as Power Dynamos is concerned, nothing is further from the truth. But
Nothing is further from the truth. But power.
But again, truth be said, the Nkana that we're talking about now is not as strong as the Nkana that we used to know. They need to up their game, pick up the pieces and start scoring goals. That way, Nkana will be able to come back.
Okay, Sylvester Chola says, "Go Gunners forever." Now let me get on to Mapalo. The Gunners, the Arsenal, play at home to West Ham United. It's a London derby. With Mikel Arteta, he's impressed in certain games, but in some games it's been disappointing.
Yeah.
I really do not know how his team might just pan out against the West Ham side in this London derby. I would want you, for the sake of Sylvester Chola, who says "Go Gunners forever" via YouTube, he would want to get your pre-match analysis to this game.
Sylvester. The Gunners. I mean, they've really impressed me under Mikel Arteta. They've only lost once, which was disappointing because it was hugely significant to their season. They got knocked out by Olympiacos from Greece at the Emirates 2-1 with their top scorer, their ever reliable Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, scoring a world-class goal and missing an absolute sitter. And it's disappointing. You can't criticize him so much because him and probably Bernd Leno have carried Arsenal throughout this season. They're facing a very tough West Ham side who are on the up from nowhere because David Moyes has set up his team in such a brilliant way. They gave us a lot of trouble. Robert Snodgrass, Mikel Antonio is one you have to look out for because
Declan Rice.
Yeah, Declan Rice is absolutely outstanding. I don't see him staying at West Ham for too long. There's
a team from Manchester which has been eyeing him.
Yeah, of course. These guys will pay. They will pay 100 million.
They'll
for
pay
him.
100 million instead of 50.
Yes, but West Ham are a very difficult side, and this will be more difficult in that it's a derby. The Gunners against the Hammers, and they won their last game 3-1 against a very good Southampton side, and of course they'll be licking their lips because of course, in as much as Arsenal have improved, their defense is still so shaky with David Luiz there and the rest of the team. But I expect the Gunners to edge this one. Yeah, in the Aubameyang he seems unstoppable at the moment, and he's going for the top scorer award for the second season in a row. But that miss is still shocking. My mouth is still open. Like, I didn't expect that from him, but I expect Arsenal to edge this one. But it's going to be an interesting watch.
Okay, pretty much given. All right, let's talk about the Spanish La Liga. It's been happening in La Liga. Goodness me. But let me just run through fixtures for starters. All right, so Eibar play Mallorca. This game is at 14. Then at the Estadio Wanda Metropolitano, Atletico de Madrid play Sevilla at 17 hours. Then at the Nou Camp, Barcelona with Kike Setien in charge will be at home to Real Sociedad at 19:30 Central African Time. At the Coliseum Alfonso Perez, we have Getafe play Celta de Vigo at 22 hours. Sunday, it's definitely thick and fast in La Liga. It starts off in Osasuna, Pamplona, where they play Espanyol at 13 hours. Then Athletic Bilbao travel to play Real Valladolid, the capital side in Madrid. This will be at the Estadio Municipal Jose Zorrilla. Kickoff time is 15 hours Central African Time. Then at Estadio Ciudad de Valencia, it will be Levante at home to Granada. Kickoff time is 17 hours Central African Time. So we have the Basque side there playing Levante from Valencia. Then Villarreal play at home to Leganés at Estadio de la Ceramica. Kickoff time is at 19:30 Central African Time. Then right at the very death, all right, the very last game for the night, it will be Real Betis at home to Real Madrid at the Estadio Benito Villamarin. Kickoff time, 22 hours Central African time. Then Sunday, we'll see Iba play Real Sociedad. So that is the action. But, gentlemen, we had El Clasico. My goodness, the biggest Clasico in world football. You know, bigger than the Soweto Derby, bigger than Derby El Copala, bigger than the Manchurian Derby, which is taking place this weekend.
Also bigger than the Italian.
Yeah, the Derby della Madonnina.
Inter Milan and AC Milan.
Even the Derby d'Italia between Juventus and is it AC or Internazionale? This is arguably the biggest derby in world football. Let's start with Che and then we'll get on to Jerry. For some reason, Zinedine Zidane just showed us how astute a manager he is by looking at the scorers, you know, at full time, Vinicius Jr. and Mariano Diaz. People that you least expected to get on the score sheet in a big game against the Blaugrana. What an impressive game that one was. Let's start from there before we get to off the field problems where the assistant at Barcelona kept on insulting players on the touchline as the match wore on at El Bernabeu.
Yeah, I think you need to give credit to Zinedine Zidane for a job well done in terms of mounting a good comeback, because you remember that prior to that, Real Madrid were beaten by Manchester City in the Champions League. Then they were able to rebound, winning against all teams, Barcelona, and that I give credit, to Zidane for a job well done, because morale was down at the same pitch that Manchester City were able to beat them. They came back and they were able to win against all teams. Now you need again to look at the Barcelona side. I think it's an aging side. When you look at the Messi, I think time is catching up on him. They've had a lot of injuries that have happened to Suarez, Dembele, the few other players here and there. Now, they've brought in Griezmann to try and fill in the void that Suarez has done. But it appears that Griezmann hasn't lived up to expectation. He's a guy that has been getting goals for them, for Atletico Madrid. But having to come to Barcelona, I think it's a bit of taking time for him to be able to settle down. Griezmann. And as a result, he's letting down a lot of fans at Nou Camp. But that said, I will not take away the luster, in that game in terms of what Barcelona, Real Madrid was able to do. They played well, they deserved to win, and they came out 2-0 victors. And as a result, they sit atop the La Liga, fixtures. But for Barcelona, again, it's a question of getting back to the drawing board, because Coach Q Santin needs to do much. Everybody, it's like people are not holding him in high esteem. That he's a coach that should be at that he should be at Barca. They think someone better can be able to do a good job. But in the meantime, they're stuck with him, and he has to be able to do a good job.
Okay, all right, Jerry. Barcelona are definitely in a crisis from the look of things. Real might just take advantage. They're back on top, all right, albeit by a single point. This definitely having their own problems. But Real, in as much as they beat Barca, may have their own fair share of problems. They may not have an out-and-out striker in the likes of Mo Salah, in the team that could be consistent in getting them goals. Maybe that could be the reason why anyone is capable of scoring at Real, apart from Karim Benzema.
Well, congratulations first to Madrid. I think in these classical matches, they've been on the receiving end most of the time. But at least they managed to pull off a 2-0 win, convincingly, I should say. Barca, well, as I mentioned, they seem to be in need of some reinvigoration. Some new faces here and there, maybe some younger players. You have some players there like Artur and so on, very good players, but they seem to be too reliant on Messi. If Messi doesn't do something, then they end up losing. So Madrid, they're pulling it off, puts them in good stead for the rest of the season, because now even should they tie up on points, Madrid will win it on head-to-head. Vinicius Jr., I think, is proving to be a very good back. Yes, missing the goal scorers there, the out-and-out strikers, apart from Benzema. But they don't seem to be doing badly when it comes to scoring. The other attacking players are able to score. Now, I hope Madrid really put their foot on the gas and take advantage of this. They've
Mhm.
gone on top, but it's happened before whereby they go to the top of the table, but they fumble and then Barcelona come back. I hope it doesn't happen again, maybe whereby they draw or something and then Barca end up replacing them at the top.
Mhm.
But it's looking like they might end Barcelona's hold on the championship
Mhm.
if they just focus and don't drop silly points
Mhm.
as they've done in the past. Then it's looking good for Real Madrid.
Mhm.
So coming off a disappointing loss in the Champions League against Man City, losing at home, then they pull off a Clasico win, and then they're playing. Is it Betis today?
Mhm. Yeah, Betis tomorrow.
Tomorrow they're playing Real Betis. They really should cement their stay on top of the league there, and then try and turn things around in the Champions League second leg against Manchester City at the Etihad.
Okay. All right. Your thoughts, Mapalo, before I run through fixtures in the Il Campionato Serie A as we wrap up today's program?
Well, most has been said by my uncles here, but I just like to congratulate Real Madrid as well. It shows huge mentality as a big team. You're supposed to respond when you're being knocked down, when you've been knocked down,
When you're beaten down.
Yes,
Get
yes,
up.
you get back up, and
Back to
what
your
a way
feet.
to respond to beat your fiercest rivals so convincingly. I was very impressed with Vinicius Junior. Gave the right back a really tough time because he had opportunities at the left wing flank. A lot of opportunities, a lot of openings, and the first half Barcelona created their chances, but in the second half Real Madrid came out as absolute beasts, and it was good to see former player Cristiano Ronaldo watching from the stands. Him telling fans to stop taking videos of him and concentrate on the match. It was a really good game.
I mean, did he have to do that? He's a star. I mean, he's famous.
Come on, watch the game. Watch the game. You're not here to take photos
He
or
felt
videos of
embarrassed
me.
that he's taking the show off his former
Yeah,
teammate.
exactly. And Vinicius Junior saying, I just felt like celebrating like Ronaldo at that point because it's the occasion itself. It was absolutely outstanding. The fans were absolutely brilliant. They'll be facing Real Betis Palompe tomorrow, who are quite a difficult team. They've got some good players in there, the likes of Nabil Fekir. Yes, so they need to concentrate because they don't play in the Champions League till next week. So they can afford to use their full team, and they need to concentrate and continue gathering points. And as for Barcelona, well, they just need to keep pushing because they won't have Suarez and Dembele for a really long time, and there's so much of an over dependence on Messi. And as mentioned by Bachea, he's aging. It's not everything can't come out of him. Yes, he can score 4 goals when you criticize him, but there's other players need to step up to the plate. They got Martin Braithwaite, who's settled in quite well, almost made an immediate impact against Real Madrid. But good luck to the Blaugrana, and we'll see how this season goes. I hope they keep on being competitive.
Okay, so lastly, gentlemen, let me run through the Italian Serie A fixtures. Parma play Societa Polisportiva at 13:30 at the Ennio Tardini Stadium. Then at the Stadio Comunale Luigi Ferraris, Sampdoria play Hellas Verona. Genoa play SC Milan at the Giuseppe Meazza at the San Siro at 16. Udinese play Fiorentina alla Viola at 19. Then Internazionale will be away to Juventus at the Allianz Arena 21:45. This is the game that should have taken place last weekend but was called off because of a threat by coronavirus.
COVID-19.
Yes, COVID-19. Yeah. Then on Monday, Sassuolo play Brescia at 19:30 Central African time.
You need also to indicate that most of those games in Italy now will be played
Behind
Behind
all
closed
of them.
all of them.
all of them.
sporting activities.
More sporting activities. Again, further to that, in EPL, there's also an instruction that there is no handshake. The traditional handshake. that has been there before the game and after the game. So they're saying an unnecessary handshake.
I don't get
Unnecessary
that because
handshake.
football is a contact sport. So whether or what, there'll still be a lot of contact between the players.
And just to end, those that love mixed martial arts, tomorrow morning at 05 hours, there will be Israel Adesanya, who is of Nigerian descent. He's fighting off in America. He never lost. He'll be fighting Romero, who is a Brazilian, and that guy is good. He's great. So it's a fight to watch, although it's a bloody sport. I must.
You must add.
Which is why I don't watch it.
Nah, me too.
For me, boxing is better than mixed martial arts.
All right, so that is all we had. We'd like to appreciate all the text messages and each one of you that did join us via YouTube, via text message, and via WhatsApp. You need to catch us next Saturday at the same time from 11 to 13. Remember, it will never be Premier unless it's Backpage. It's mejores amigos para siempre. At this juncture, we have to say,
lights out. Wow. 2 hours done. See, kind of intro. That's what I mean.
You're going